from the U.S. Naval Academy, number 50, the Admiral David Robinson. And the head coach for the Spurs, Greg Popovich.
Let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Brad. Well, all season long, San Antonio's young point guard, Tony Parker, has heard the rumors that he could be replaced next season by another kid, specifically Jason Kidd, who's a free agent this summer. And here they are matched up in the finals. So all week, Tony Parker has been bombarded by questions about Jason Kidd. And Greg Popovich told me his young point guard has handled the situation beautifully. But Popovich admitted he's not exactly sure what's in Parker's gut or in his head. So they kept him slightly more sheltered from the media today, hoping he can enter his first NBA Finals game with as little distraction as possible. But Greg Popovich told me he has no concerns about Tony Parker. His final piece of advice to him, you don't need to hear from me anymore. Go out there and run the team. Now over to Stuart Scott, who's with the Nets.
Michelle, Jason Kidd's not talking about free agency. The only thing he and his teammates want to talk about is winning a championship. About 6 different Nets told me that last year against the Lakers, they were in awe. They took it as fun in games. This year, nothing but the title will be acceptable. Jason Kidd didn't want to accept congratulations for winning the Eastern Conference title. He said, we're not done yet. And one Net player, a reserve, told me, oh, we're going to win the championship. No question. Brad, it is a different story than last year.
No doubt about that. They feel much better about themselves. As we mentioned, they've won 10 straight playoff games, 5 straight on the road. But during the course of the regular season against the West, the Nets were only 15-13.
Talking to Greg Popovich, the keys for San Antonio: keep Jason Kidd out of the paint, make him beat you with his scoring, not his passing. Get New Jersey's front court, particularly Kenyon Martin, into foul trouble. Single cover all the Nets, straight up, no gimmicks, transition defense, and then sustain the attack with no missed free throws or no turnovers of omission.
Yeah, the big thing to me is going to be their transition defense. And, you know, we haven't talked much about San Antonio as a running team. If you want to run, they can run with you. They can go.
And now we're going to have the honorary toss at center court with 2 very familiar figures to these organizations. Mike has mentioned this is the first time in history that 2 former ABA teams have met in an NBA championship round. And when you think about the old ABA and you think about the Nets, you think about the doctor, Julius Erving. He'll come out to represent the Nets. And on the other side, a guy that he played against in the semifinals in 1976, the last time these 2 teams met in a playoff, the Iceman, George Gervin. There's a picture those 2 guys will cherish. And it's stolen by David Robinson. In that series, the Spurs against the Nets, Julius Erving 5 times in the 7 games scored more than 30 points. The Iceman had 30+ 3 times.
And in the final game, it was George Gervin who outscored Dr. J 31-28 in a 7-point Nets victory in the 7th and final game.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say Dr. J and George Gervin didn't have to go to the sporting goods store to get their retro jersey.
I think they just went in the closet. Joe DeRosa, Nick Bavetta, Joey Crawford are officials. Joe's got the ball in hand. Jason Collins, David Robinson playing either 4 through 7 of his final games of his career were underway, and it's the Nets. Pull-up jumper by Kidd. They did it in games 2, 3, and 4 against Detroit off the opening tap, and they do it here tonight.
Obviously, Greg Popovich has not worked on the jump ball defense for San Antonio.
Just like that, the crowd is quieted momentarily, at least. Here's Tim Duncan for the first time, trying to feed David Robinson, and a foul on Collins from behind.
These guys work high-low as good as any big man combination that's been in the game over the last 7 or 8 years. They each look for each other, and they know where they're going to be.
You can easily make the argument that this is the greatest twin tower alignment in NBA history.
And David Robinson, who took Tim Duncan under his wing, a very long wing, if you will, and helped refine his game. And they have played beautifully together, including a '99 championship.
Terrific off-the-ball defense by Kenyon Martin.
Tony Parker, pull-up jumper. Kid got a hand at his face, and Jefferson clears it for the Nets.
What the Nets might have accumulated in rust over the last couple weeks, they may make up for an experience. This team has been there before, and in talking to Steve Kerr, he said you can't impart knowledge. You just have to go through it.
If Jason Kidd had any rust, he just poured some 3-and-1 on it. He's got the first 4 points. Duncan in the low block has it poked away from Kenyon Martin. There's Steve Kerr, who with 4 3-pointers helped put Dallas away in the Western Conference Finals. And he's been there a bunch of times.
He told me he was so nervous in game 1 of the finals. Said it's the same game, but it's a different game.
5 on the shot clock. Jackson, not a good shot. Here comes Jason Kidd in a hurry. Martin around Duncan. Duncan got a hand on it.
Kerry, Kittles, as well as Richard Jefferson, has to shoot the ball for New Jersey. Greg Popovich forced to take an early timeout. Byron Scott saying he was very curious about how the start would play out with the 10-day layoff. The rhythm, the timing, where would it be? Obviously, the Nets, just like Detroit, just like Boston, they are razor sharp.
The Nets brought that timing with them from New Jersey, obviously. In the opening couple of minutes, they lead 6-0. Jason Kidd with 2 field goals, and Jefferson just forced the timeout a moment ago.
Well, Jefferson, I thought he should have taken that jump shot right there. He actually made a much more difficult shot, dribbling right in to Tim Duncan. Better off than just to take an unmolested 14-footer.
The perimeter shooters for New Jersey did not play well in the Detroit Conference Final Series. Kittles, Lucious Harris, Rodney Rogers, Richard Jefferson, those guys have got to shoot better. Unfortunately, they're playing against the league's best defense here. New Jersey's best percentage shooter is Lucious Harris at 42%.
Here's Jackson, who took a terrible shot last time. That's a better assist. And Tim Duncan out of the timeout, a chance for a 3-point play.
Well, that's what Steven Jackson, and he's been doing it all year long, has given them. Maybe not as good as Sean Elliott, who was here a few years ago, but he gives them that guy who can penetrate, draw the defense, and just dump it off for the easy finish.
And Kenyon Martin with foul number 1 already.
An ill-advised foul. You've got to stay at home with Tim Duncan. There's those questions about young shooting.
That's probably his biggest, if not only, downfall.
The inability to hold leads as well. And where is the crushing response when the other team makes their late game charge?
Jason Kidd hit his first 2 shots. That one's a little too strong, and Bruce Bowen will clear the glass. See if Tony Parker settles down now.
Well, Martin's doing a nice job of fighting Tim Duncan. Oh, good
Kerry, Kittles, nice defense. And look at the pass, trying to spin it ahead to Kenyon Martin. Wow. Even as a turnover, it looked pretty good.
Kenyon Martin is so fast.
Jackson flying through the lane, and the former Net scores his first basket.
You always notice the Nets, too, even when the opposition scores, they're looking to push it up. Maybe not real fast, but they're always looking for an easy opportunity. In the half court, you know, who's going to be able to step up for them and get them those buckets?
Jefferson had it stripped by Parker going through the lane. They'll say last touch by Tony.
Richard Jefferson determined to get to the free throw line by attacking the rim. Against Boston, he shot 7 free throws per game. In that sweep, he shot 7 free throws total against the Detroit Pistons.
Martin's going to have to take a 3 with 2 on the shot clock. Here comes Tony Parker. Collins grabbed his jersey, no foul called. Chance to tie things up. Inside, Parker.
Kenyon Martin is doing the right thing by staying at home with Tim Duncan. Jason Collins has to get more active and come and block some shots, or at least get in the air, put some fear in the minds of the penetrators for San Antonio.
So each team has run off 6 straight. We're tied at 6. Kittles, double team. Now Martin trying to penetrate with a left hand. Nice move.
He hangs up in the air so long, he's able to switch hands and makes a shot that's very difficult. Looks pretty easy.
Has anyone made more progress and grown more in the last 18 months in the NBA than Kenyon Martin.
I would say last 4 months. He's been incredible.
And David Robinson ties it up.
Steven Jackson's getting into the lane far too easily. Richard Jefferson has to tighten up. Make him beat you from the outside.
8 minutes to go in the quarter and tied at 8.
Nice dribble handoff by Jason Collins.
Kittles with a pull-up around a screen and knocks it down. Kerry Kittles.
The big guy's got to jump out and at least put his hand up. He's got to help, especially the guy like Kerry Kittles. You want to make him put the ball on the ground.
Tony Parker short-armed that one with a couple of big guys in front of him. Neither jumped in the way of the shot.
What a pass.
Kittles, baseline, blocked by Duncan. He'll take it after he got it back. And here comes Duncan with a rebound.
Look at him go.
The 7-footer dribbling up court himself. To his 7-1 partner on the low block. And Robinson. Air ball over Collins.
Run with him. Kenyon Martin, Collins, Jefferson.
Kidd with a crossover. Runs right into Parker.
Well, Jason Kidd didn't have any options that time. He was leading the one-man fast break.
Kerry Kittles was trailing him. Jefferson over Jackson. Got it.
Tough shot.
4 for Jefferson.
And those are the type of shots as a defender you'll give up. You got to give up something. And if you're going to give up an 18-foot jump shot and he's going to make it, you just say nice shot.
Well, Richard Jefferson shot 53% against Boston. Only 40% against Detroit. Please don't take a shot.
6:57 remaining first quarter. Each team have had runs to start game 1 of the NBA championship.
The NBA Finals on ABC, brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. Nissan and your Nissan dealer. And Hulk. This summer, experience the incredible.
As you look at Riverwalk, it was almost a cakewalk for the Nets as they got to these championship finals over the month of May. They beat Milwaukee. They swept Boston. They swept Detroit. 10 days off between the end of the Eastern Conference Finals and the start of the championship. We talked to Byron Scott about it.
I think 5 days is too long to have off. You know, I would like to get it going as soon as the next series is over with. But you know, the thing that it does, you know, for us obviously is that, you know, we had to figure out a way to kind of keep ourselves going in those 10 days. And I think we've done a pretty good job of doing that. You know, we've had some real good practices. The guys have been very focused. So at this particular time, it could have been probably 2 weeks. It wouldn't have mattered because you're playing for an NBA championship.
One of the longest layoffs ever before a championship was to begin. And there you see it. Only the Lakers in '82 went a longer time off.
History shows that it plays both ways. The real key is that there's no injuries, there's no fatigue, and fortunately, no excuses.
Duncan on a drive off the glass. Robinson with a rebound, and he's tied up by Jason Kidd. Let's check in with Stuart Scott. Stu?
And that last time out, Byron Scott told his team that he liked what they were doing offensively and defensively, but he wanted his team to get out and run a little bit more. If you notice that last fast break, Jason Kidd was down, Kerry Kittles was down with them. The other 3 guys slow getting up the court. Just wants them to get out and run a little bit more, Brett.
It's hard to beat Jason Kidd down the court, that's for sure. He jumps with David Robinson, and the Spurs control.
But New Jersey is shooting 55% from the floor, which is remarkable because the Spurs have the best defense. Field goal percentage allowed and points allowed in the NBA playoffs.
Bowen lays it up off the glass for Robinson to knock home.
Well, David Robinson's been extremely active on the offensive glass, and Kenyon Martin's doing a fantastic job fronting, three-quartering, playing behind, giving Tim Duncan different looks.
It would go without saying, I guess, in a guy that's been around the league as long as David Robinson, but when he's had 5 days of rest or more, he plays better than any time during the regular season.
Jason Collins just has no touch for the ball. That left wrist is really bothering him in the locker room before the game. Heavily wrapped with ice, getting constant therapy on it. Just don't know how serious that injury is.
Jackson tried a 3. Here's Kidd with the outlet, trying to get it to Jefferson and stolen by Parker.
Well, he's going to make some mistakes in the open court. A few, but that's just the way they play.
And then he steals it from Parker and gets it to Jefferson for that.
What a defensive play. Jason Kidd has been on another planet in this game. The passes that he's tried to throw that haven't even been completed have been the most exciting ones.
How about how quickly he turns a steal into a fast break?
It's literally about 3 seconds before there's 2 points in the other direction.
Martin has to be careful. No silly fouls. He's already got one careless one.
He poked it away from Duncan, but didn't pick up that foul.
Kenyon Martin has the most to prove of any player in this series. He has the most to gain, but he has to show that he can play at the level that Tim Duncan lives by himself at, and that's the mental level. That world has been his for years now.
Greg Popovich went to his bench during that break. Malik Rose and this guy, Ginobili, in the lineup for the Spurs. And immediately, Rose not in there long before he picks up a foul.
Ran a little belly option between the tackles there. It wasn't stopping either.
And the middle linebacker was waiting for him. 14-10 New Jersey. A little over 5 minutes to go first quarter. Kidd right back to Martin. He's got an open look, but he missed the jumper, and Tim Duncan's all alone for the rebound.
Well, that's where they would love to keep them. They would love to keep them on the perimeter. Don't let them get back doors. Don't let them get easy layups. And in the half-court defense, so far, been doing pretty well.
Well, that pass by Ginobili wasn't the greatest, but Rose now has a turnover and a foul. Kidd with a miss. Duncan with a rebound.
Big men who can handle the ball.
Or did you see that with Kidd? I mean, he saw Duncan turn his back, and as soon as he turned his back, he used him as a screen to pick off Tony Parker.
The greatest of the greats in the history of this game have always used everybody on the court as a screen, as an asset.
We saw him against Detroit when Richard Hamilton turned his back, and it became an easy layup.
We're talking the level of Magic Johnson, Pete Maravich, Walt Frazier, Jerry West here.
Rose up over Williams. Tough shot.
Was that about 4 strips already?
Everything for San Antonio is going to the hoop. Pretty much if it's not in that fast break game for New Jersey, it has to come from the perimeter, and that's not a good sign.
Now Kidd is posting up Parker.
Taken to the hoop.
Backing him in, and now feeds Williams inside with a left hand, and Duncan's got another rebound. 5 rebounds for Tim Duncan already here in the first quarter. And here is the MVP. Trying to fade away with a shot, and he's pushed. Aaron Williams picks up his first foul.
Well, this could be one of those 4 or 5 ice bag nights for Tim Duncan. Because Aaron Williams going to put a body on him. Yep. Kenyon Martin's already shown he's going to put a body on him. It's going to be a physical series for him.
Ginobili, constant motion, had it stripped away by Kittles, and now Kidd trying to get it to Kerry in the open court. Nobody can find a handle except Parker. Tony Parker speeds his way down and had it blocked by Kenyon Martin. Now here come the Nets 3-on-2.
Beautiful pass by Kittles.
And a foul.
Give it back to the man in the middle. Kerry Kittles, so critical to the Nets' success this year in the playoff run for New Jersey. When he has scored in double figures, New Jersey is undefeated at 7-0. So critical that he gets off to an offensive start here.
So Kerry goes to the free throw line. Kittles averaging just under 11 points a game in the playoffs, and misses a free throw. Coming up on the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report, Lisa Marie Presley live. Ahmad Rashad with a Jason Kidd feature, and Mike, Sean, and Doc will break down the first half. She had the place rocking during the rehearsal this afternoon. Kittles got the second of 2.
She's not going blue sequence jumpsuit, is she?
I don't know. Maybe with the shades and everything. As long as she doesn't have the sideburns, we're okay.
New Jersey has to do a better job of denying penetration. Spurs are getting to the hoop too easily.
Rose stripped by Martin. Martin puts his hands at his side as if to say, I didn't touch anybody.
That's got to be a minimum of 6 strips and or blocks by the Nets. Really being active with their hands in the defensive end.
Quick hands, but that's also fool's gold. If you don't start moving your feet, you are going to get burned. Rodney Rogers fortunate to draw that foul against Bruce Bowen.
Game track San Antonio. Their last 6 possessions, they have 4 turnovers and a shot that was ugly. It's the Nets leading the Spurs on the Spurs home floor with 3:11 to go first quarter. We mentioned the Spurs 4 turnovers in their last 6 possessions, and in our court sounds, Greg Popovich told his team, you know, watch your ball handling.
Ball's got to change sides of the court, but we're picking it up and holding it, letting them get into us, getting back on your heels. Got to be aggressive, drive that thing, but don't lose your dribble. Don't take one dribble and pick it up. If you're going to dribble it, go DHO it. So we keep the motion going and flowing side to side. Right?
Now let's go over and check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, this last time out, Greg Popovich telling his team, hey, we've only got 12 points. You guys are not going strong to the rack at all. You are far too soft. You've got to be more physical going to the basket. Otherwise, we're going to keep in this scoring drought all quarter long, Brad.
Well, the Spurs only have 16 field goal attempts, and Tim Duncan's only got 2 shots.
If you find yourself getting stripped down low, as the Spurs are, your elbows aren't broad enough. You're not leading with your shoulder or your head to protect that ball.
Lucious Harris is checked in for New Jersey. Here's Kidd. Missed it, trying to get his own rebound, and it's Duncan's.
Who will be quickest to the loose balls, Jason Kidd or Tony Parker?
Jackson, nice crossover dribble into the lane, and he's fouled.
Time and time again, Steven Jackson is just, he's standing on the perimeter casually, and then he just puts the ball on the floor, and there is no movement of the feet of the defenders for New Jersey.
Steven Jackson.
That explains a lot. He was protecting the ball with his head during his playing days. I'm understanding a little bit now.
Jackson hits the free throw. Log on to the NBA store on NBA.com to order Nets and Spurs Conference Championship gear. Love it live on NBA.com. Jackson got 1 of 2. Martin up there to snatch that rebound.
Greg Popovich said that one of the real keys in this series is for his team to get the front court for New Jersey in foul trouble. It has not been a parade to the free throw line for Tim Duncan, Malik Rose, or anyone else.
While Collins does have 2 fouls, Rogers in there for him right now. Kenyon Martin has only 1. Here's Kenyon offensively.
This guy's good.
Angry. He is good, isn't he?
What hands. What anticipation. And what confidence on the defensive end. He's just saying, hey, I'm going to guard Tim Duncan by myself.
Nets by 4. Ginobili trying to weave his way through with a left hand and does. The rookie with his first basket.
Has San Antonio made a perimeter shot?
Don't remember one.
I don't know if they've taken more than 2 perimeter shots. They've been either getting to the rim and finishing or getting to the rim and getting stripped. It's a tough matchup right here for Steven Jackson.
Harris blocked by Duncan.
Duncan always keeps the ball in play with his block.
That's his 3rd block shot already in the first quarter, fellas.
San Antonio leads the NBA every year in block shots per game. They did it again this year.
Martin off the inbound had to hurry his shot because of the shot clock down to 3. Here come the Spurs with a chance to tie again.
Good D.
That's 2 fouls on Kenyon Martin. A nightmare for Byron Scott.
Both the regular season games, he ended up with 5, and he's sitting there disgusted right now. And there's the look of his coach looking on, knowing that that's not a good sign.
The biggest problem is that neither one of them have been head-to-head fouls against Tim Duncan. And that's where you got to save your fouls for when you're guarding the league's 2-time MVP.
Let me qualify that last statement. It was good defensive recognition, getting over in front of the offensive player, but that most certainly was a block.
And he's going out now as Jefferson will come back in. Spurs only 1 for 4 from the line, and Bill, Tom, that's been their downfall this year in a lot of ball games.
Giving away freebies.
Tony got the second one.
This
Parker
is not
with
a
3.
team, San Antonio, that plays well as the favorite. They do not play well with the lead, giving it up so many times. They've already lost game 1 of 2 series this spring.
Rodney Rogers knocks down the outside jumper. No team in NBA history has ever lost a first game in a series 3 times en route to a championship. And they don't want to drop one here at home if they can avoid it. Jackson tried to pick and roll, and he threw it all the way over to photography row.
Well, he threw it where Tim was, not where Tim was going to be.
Tim was going to the rack. He went to the corner.
The interesting thing is that Jason Kidd has not been able to penetrate in the set offense against either Tony Parker, or now he's got Speedy Claxton for the first time.
Spurs with 5 turnovers already. And Kidd throws one of his own away. Steven Jackson on the break. Claxton trying to follow, and he lost the handle.
He's got to call that traveling on the Spurs, on Steven Jackson. He carried the ball next to his head on top of his shoulder. Greg Popovich not happy whatsoever with the execution. Very careless.
See how Kidd does his second trip down court against Claxton.
Oh, you get it up to the 35 mark, you can get a 2-for-1 here, get the ball back and ensure yourself the last shot.
Rogers hit his last jumper, and he hits that one. Rodney Rogers 4 off the Nets bench, and their lead stretches back to 5.
Well, you forget this guy can flat out play. Former first-round pick out of Wake Forest. I mean, when he gets it going, offensively, he's a load down in the block. He can also extend out to 3.
And it's Demon Deacon against Demon Deacon right now. He's guarding Tim Duncan.
One shot time for San Antonio.
Shot clock in the game clock virtually dead even. About .2 difference. Down to 10 remaining first quarter. Ginobili has a look. Jackson got his man in the air, and he's got an open jumper, and he knocked it down.
Why go for a pump fake against a guy who hasn't even taken an outside shot?
Kidd just before the buzzer, can't quite get it. So the Spurs get a nice play and a good shot from Steven Jackson to end the quarter. They're still down, but at the end of 1, New Jersey leading by only 3, 21-18. Spurs on their home floor at the end of 1, trailing. This is ABC Sports, home of the NBA Finals.
He is the reigning MVP, leading his team past all obstacles.
Tim Duncan!
He is the unwavering floor general, carrying a young team to the top. Now, as they go face to face, which of these superstars has what it takes to guide his team to an NBA championship? The NBA Finals, Game 2, Nets versus Spurs. Coverage begins Friday at 8 p.m. on ABC.
Spurs trailing by 3. They might be lucky to be only down by 3, Tom.
Well, everything they've scored has been inside. But with that being said, they have had a lot of great looks at the rim from inside. You're going to see all the green dots. Those are made. That looks good. And then you start saying doink, doink, good, doink, good, doink, doink, good, doink, doink, good. And that's the only one from the left corner, the one Steven Jackson. That's 5 shots they've had at point-blank range that they have missed. They are getting the look that they want to get. If that continues, if they get that many shots that close to the rim, it's going to be hard for New Jersey to stop them.
All the pressure right now on Anthony Johnson in the ball game. Was superb in games 3 and 4 against Detroit. Beautiful back cut.
And Jackson missed again and close. Same thing that Tom was just talking about.
Let me add another doink.
It's not as if there's an intimidating shot blocking presence out there for New Jersey.
Here's Harris, Ginobili on him. Got around him and tipped in by Williams.
That's what Bill was talking about earlier. You reach too often and people get by you. When they get by you, someone has to come over and help, and so on and so forth. You take a shot, you can't box out.
Rodney Rogers, there's just no way that he can guard Tim Duncan.
Here's Jackson from the other corner. Duncan trying to tip it over to Ginobili. It goes to Harris. The Nets started 5 out of 8 from the floor. They're 6 of 16 since.
We are seeing an extremely confident and well-coached New Jersey team.
Rogers hit his first 2 jumpers. That one's off the mark.
Oh, yeah, they might want to think about getting the MVP a couple of shots. He's had 2 shots in the first quarter.
Rodney Rogers gets whistled for a foul in transition defense against Malik Rose. Just the hammer of the trip. Jason Kidd wondering how long he'll be sitting out. In years gone by, Anthony Johnson has not been able to sustain New Jersey's attack. Was absolutely fabulous against Detroit, Johnson.
Then Duncan puts it in, and again a chance to add one. Williams has 2 now, as does Martin. 4 Nets now with 2 fouls each. Martin, Collins, Williams, and Rogers. Those are the big guys.
A broken play for San Antonio going to the hoop. The patience on offense. And when you think about Tim Duncan, is there a better word to describe him than patient? A 6-time All-Star, excuse me, 5-time All-Star in his 6-year NBA career. The only time he didn't make the All-Star game, they didn't play the game because of the lockout season.
10:35 as Harris try to lay it up with the left hand. Dikembe, Mutombo, Deke's coming in. He hasn't played since what, Milwaukee? Let's check in with Stuart Scott.
I talked to Dikembe in the locker room before the game, and he's racked up 10 DNP CDs this postseason. And he said, look, I understand. I'm spiritually and mentally, I've been with this team even when I'm not playing, but now it's time to get my feet wet. This is what everybody plays for, the NBA Finals. He wants to get his feet wet. Here he is after only 33 minutes the entire postseason. Dikembe Mutombo, 8-time All-Star in the game, Brett.
Dikembe missed 56 games with torn ligaments in his right wrist. And you can bet he's happy to be in there with 10:34 to go first half.
He'll be ready. A diligent worker in all aspects. A tireless performer for so many years.
Johnson, nice job of the backcourt defensively. Knocked it away from Speedy Claxton. Now, how do you play? How much differently do you play, Bill, as a big guy? There's the 4 big guys, each with 2 fouls each, and we got a long ways to go in the first half.
You come to your deep bench, and fortunately for both coaches, these rosters, which are mirror images of each other, go all the way to the last guy.
Claxton into the front court. 10:23 remaining in the half, and Anthony Johnson gets a cheap foul. That's his first.
I'm interested in the defensive strategy of putting Rodney Rogers on Tim Duncan instead of Dikembe Mutombo. I mean, come with your best against the best.
Well, they might double team. Maybe one of those things where as soon as he touches it, Dikembe Mutombo, comes over and double teams.
There comes Johnson to double team. That leaves Claxton wide open, and he knocks down the jumper.
I maintain that you're better off having a great star like Duncan beat you with his own scoring as opposed to his passing, getting everybody else into their game.
Boy, because he does as well as any big guy. Getting his teammates involved, that is.
Nice pass.
Jefferson going up is fouled by Jackson.
Yeah, Anthony Johnson continues to play heady ball.
Byron Scott has done a marvelous job with this club. Atlantic Division champions. Last year they won 52 games. This year 49. Got young guys like Martin and Jefferson, Collins.
They traded their second best player a year ago. Got literally nothing out of Dikembe Mutombo, who came in the trade for Keith Van Horn. And the team is vastly better because of this guy at the line right here, Richard Jefferson, who has emerged into an all-star level player. So good that Richard Jefferson is now on the U.S. national team.
And the maturity of Kenyon Martin.
Absolutely.
Jefferson, who took the spot of Keith Van Horn. The guy that Bill alluded to, and you see his numbers and how much they've improved. And he has 8 points here to lead the Nets right now in scoring in the first half, and they're up by 3.
Well, it's funny. I think the reason they went out and got Dikembe Mutombo is because Shaq destroyed him last year in the finals, and they wanted to have somebody that could man up against Shaq if they happen to meet him again in the finals.
This is a very tough call against Dikembe Mutombo, who is just standing here watching the ball. How is that a foul on him? If somebody else runs into your elbow, that is not a foul on Dikembe Mutombo.
And you saw Rodney Rogers backing away with his hands up as if to say, I didn't touch him either. He didn't want his 3rd foul.
I think I'd be asking for an explanation on that one.
Great defense, Rodney Rogers.
Rose over him.
If he's going to make that shot, you're in real trouble.
Spurs cut it down to 1 again with 9.5 to go, second quarter. And here's a steal by Rose. Spurs haven't led yet. They do now. You don't always have to be a #1 pick to contribute, and contribute a big way. Malik Rose was a 44th overall choice of Charlotte back in '96. He just came up with a steal of the night and the basket of the night. The first one to give the Spurs the lead tonight, 27-26. But the Spurs were built with some superstars in the Alamo City, including David Robinson and Tim Duncan, 10 years apart, #1 picks in '87 and '97. Then you mix in Ginobili, Parker, who was a late first-round draft choice, 28th overall. Then Kevin Willis, a free agent. Rose, we just talked about. Jackson, who bounced all over the league and all over the world. Same with Bowen. Those guys had to travel the globe just to get here.
Well, you got to give Popovich and the scouts a lot of credit. I mean, obviously, Tim Duncan was a no-brain first pick. But Tony Parker lasted till 28. Anybody could have had Malik Rose as a free agent. A lot of teams would have got Manu Ginobili in the second round. Bruce Bowen, undrafted. Stephen Parker in the second round finds his way here. So to get these guys together and meld them into a cohesive unit, an outstanding job by the Spurs, Popovich, and the front office.
And it's a completely different squad than the '99 championship. Only 4 players remain.
Robinson and Duncan, 2 of those. Steve Kerr was another.
How long does Jason Kidd sit on the bench?
One more bucket?
Let's see if it'll be one more bucket. Yes, it'll be another Malik Rose bucket. And here he comes.
The difference in the game has been points in the paint, which is a result of the lack of perimeter defense for New Jersey, and then the foul trouble, which has plagued the Nets throughout.
And Rodney Rogers knocks down a 3. Man, has he been huge off the Nets bench.
Literally and figuratively.
Exactly. He should be the unstoppable force. He should be the difference. But Rodney Rogers, unfortunately, has a long and well-chronicled history of inconsistency and underachievement.
Rose, let's see, who's ball? Officials have a chat. It'll stay with San Antonio. Jason Kidd has checked back in. Anthony Johnson will go out.
Kenyon Martin into the lineup as well. Richard Jefferson to the bench.
They're tied for the 3rd time in the ball game at 29 with 8:12 remaining in the first half.
I think I'll put Malik Rose on my all-human Red Bull team. The energy that guy brings to the game. A guy like Mark Madsen. These guys are just all over the place.
Look at that play by Jason Kidd.
Robinson almost had the steal. Kenyon Martin, he draws a double team.
Pass.
Harris open. And now Martin keeps it alive with a rebound.
Foul on Rose.
And Malik Rose gets his 2nd foul.
Wonderful job by Kenyon Martin of keeping his arms up in the air. San Antonio's playing a lot of zone defense. Wisely so, because Mutombo and Kenyon Martin are not the type of players that want to flash to that free throw line. Been very effective for him.
Tim Duncan, only 3 shots from the floor.
Well, that's a big one. You look at the 5 points, but it's not like 2 for 9, 2 for 8. He's 2 for 3. He's just not getting as many touches as he should.
Kidd behind a pick from Martin, missed the jumper. He wanted a foul on Parker. Trying to tell the official that as he backpedals defensively. Robinson, nice feed into Duncan. Blocked by Mutombo. And the big fella goes to the floor. Timeout call. And his teammates rush out to meet the 36-year-old who's seen limited duty. And 36 might be giving Deke a break. They might have rolled back the odometer a little bit, I think, on that media guide. I don't know.
All I know is I don't know if there's any truth to the rumor, but they had to use a whole can of Rust-Oleum on him. And he's right there. This is what he does. Block shots. You don't see him get after it like this very often, but that's what this means. NBA Finals, haven't got a chance to play very often. You put me out there, I'm going to give you everything I have. And when you see a 7-footer going on the ground, that's some heart and desire.
As you take a look from floor cam, and Bill, how about the reaction after that hustle play by Mutombo? That might have been even more important from his teammates.
The way this team has come together. When would you ever associate the word team and New Jersey Nets in the same sentence? But what Byron Scott, Rod Thorne, Eddie Jordan, all the guys, Jason Kidd, now Dikembe, Mutombo, like San Antonio, they bring in character guys. And you can never discount the association between character, hard work, and championship success.
Right now they're tied with San Antonio at 29. 7:25 remaining in the first half. Rogers missed that 3. Kenyon Martin keeps it alive. Jason Kidd's alone, but he feeds Martin. Mutombo got it away with an offensive foul, and Rogers got it in close.
Good night.
The New Jersey Nets fans in attendance here jump out of their seats and say, yeah, Deke, throw one down.
If this were boxing, his mouthpiece would have flew out of his head.
No doubt.
Good grief.
But look at the hand and the wing spread by Dikembe Mutombo. No passing angles past that.
Parker, the dish to Robinson, and a finish by the Admiral.
Everybody will say Dikembe Mutombo gets faced up there on a dump. How about some guards denying penetration? Helped out some of these big guys who were helpless back there by themselves.
Kid's been quiet since the first quarter as he had the first couple of baskets. Kenyon Martin slams the miss.
What timing. That ball was coming off so far, and he was so high above the rim to throw it down with his left hand. Remarkable.
He gets up higher than the crowd at Woodstock. Unbelievable.
Bill would know about that.
No idea what you guys are talking about.
Out of bounds to New Jersey.
I mean, is there anybody that gets up higher, quicker, and stronger than this guy? I mean, he reached across the rim with his left hand.
He was going to his right and reached back to a ball that was going to bounce outside of the paint. The perimeter shooting continues to be a nightmare for Byron Scott and the Nets.
Bowen picks up his second foul.
Greg Popovich up off the bench, yelling, pointing in his temple, saying, think.
Greg Popovich, the coach of the year this season. Tim Duncan, the most valuable player. It isn't that often that the same thing happens in the same season. Duncan's been very, very quiet.
So Bruce Bowen, not a good stretch there for him.
Under 6 minutes now. Nets by 2.
You got to pick and choose if you're saying it. Nice pass. Good D.
Blocked. Kittles went up and had it blocked.
Spurs never blocked the ball out of bounds.
Kenyon Martin with a steal coming right back the other way.
Nice passing.
Rogers around Robinson, but he had to adjust too much. And David with a rebound. Ginobili. That's one of his shots, that reverse layup, but he got stretched out pretty far on the baseline.
Dikembe Mutombo is playing ball.
You don't think they have guys that like Dikembe over in Argentina? Like, this guy's pretty long right here.
Got to take him if you're Martin.
And he does.
This is what it's going to have to be if New Jersey's going to win this series. Kenyon Martin saying, I'm the best player in this series.
Robinson, great pass on the baseline to Jackson.
The big man's ability to stand out at the free throw line, knock down jumpers, initiate offensive dribble handoffs, and more importantly, lay those perfect dimes on the back cut.
Think of the plays and the hustle we've seen from the two big guys who've been around a long time, Mutombo and Robinson, already in this first half.
Got to take him here, too.
Martin, left hand blocked by Robinson.
Well, if you wait too long, that allows the other big man time to get over and help.
Back to Robinson, trying to throw it, hit the back of the iron. He gets it right back from Jackson. Score, David Robinson.
Well, he's going circa 1992 right now.
David Robinson has had so much trouble finishing games after he's gone out. He's been fabulous in the start, but right now he's playing magnificent basketball in all respects.
A Rookie of the Year in 90, an MVP in 95. In his final games for the San Antonio Spurs, he's just tied it up.
Winning a championship, you understand the climb. You understand the journey. David Robinson, center, San Antonio Spurs. For me, that's the most important, to understand that we made the climb, that we came together, that we overcame all the challenges, because after 14 years, you find out there's a whole lot of challenges. And I think that that's kind of what we all live for.
14 great years for David Robinson, playing 38 years young right now. That block shot, and then offensively on the other end, finishing 8 points for him right now. A guy who's been an MVP and knows what it takes to get here, playing somewhere between his 4 7th final games for San Antonio.
The only award he hasn't won in his career is the MVP of the All-Star game. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, so difficult for the centers. Now, granted that Tim Duncan won the MVP of the finals in '99. David Robinson did not get that, but in those days, whenever David Robinson went to the bench, even though they had the great stars like Sean Elliott, Avery Johnson, the team completely fell apart when David Robinson went to the bench in '99.
And I think, you know, you talk about the MVPs and the championships, he's probably more proud of having the Community Assist Award named after him, the David Robinson Award. The guy's conducted himself with nothing but class, on the court, off the court. He's given $9 million to his school that he's building, the Carver Academy. I mean, this guy he's a guy that you watch the game and you watch as a kid, that if you model yourself after David Robinson, you turn out better than just all right.
We were there the night that Commissioner Stern gave out the Community Assist Award that will be named after him for the rest of time, and he just got his 6th rebound to go with 9 points.
The zone offense for New Jersey leaving a lot to be desired.
Nice. Duncan fouled as he went up. As Tom said earlier, it's going to be a 3 ice bag night by the time it's over for Tim Duncan.
Oh, just a nice pass. I mean, that's a small window right there. And that's from just playing together for a couple of years. You have an idea where your big man's going.
Tim Duncan from the free throw line. Coming up on the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report, Lisa Marie Presley live. Ahmad Rashad will have a Jason Kidd feature. And Mike, Sean, and Doc will break down this first half. Lisa Marie, a big hit single, and she'll have that coming up at halftime as Kerry Kittles knocks in a 3.
Finally, something from the perimeter. Get into the paint, draw the defense, and then kick it out.
What does it come off of? Missed free throw.
Ginobili had Jefferson get on him in a hurry, and now takes about 3 steps with no traveling violation. His Kidd had a hand on it.
Kenyon Martin is everywhere.
Duncan off the glass.
Well, they are certainly letting him play.
39-38. San Antonio in front with a little over 3 minutes in the half.
We got a mismatch against Kidd.
Kidd over Duncan. Missed badly. Comes straight to Jackson.
Always the weakest part of Jason Kidd's game, coming to the floor tonight at the worst possible moment.
Jackson. Offensive foul.
I gotta see that one. First of all, I wouldn't have called it because he just broke someone's ankles right there, Kenyon Martin.
Instead of the basket, Jackson picks up his 2nd foul. Spurs still on top, though, with 2:52 remaining first half.
The NBA Finals on ABC, brought to you by Coors Light, cold down, easy, rock on. Chevy trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. And American Express, the official card of the NBA.
Back at the SBC Center, Spurs lead by 1. We'll be with you for the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report. Sean Elliott and the Orlando coach, Doc Rivers. Give me your headline thought on the first half so far.
David Robinson is playing great basketball right now. He's blocking shots. He's rebounding. He's trying to cram everything in the paint area.
Yeah, the Nets aren't taking advantage of the Spurs turnovers. 8 turnovers by the Spurs, only 2 points for the Nets. I think that's big.
Jason Kidd feature, Ahmad Rashad, Barry Melrose, John Saunders, Lisa Marie Presley, the 3 of us, all coming up on the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report. Brad, see you then.
All right, Mike, as long as you don't sing, we're safe.
How long is that halftime?
I don't know, a couple hours. Jason Kidd hit the first 2 buckets for the Nets. He's 0 for 8 since from the floor.
Well, foul trouble, points in the paint deficit, and outside shooting is killing the New Jersey Nets.
Nice speed. Kenyon Martin over Tim Duncan.
There's just no reason once he leaves. If he leaves Earth and you're still on it, don't jump. Just don't. You're not going to beat him to the rim.
And when you think of how he shattered his leg in college and how he can still jump right out of the gym. Ginobili on a runner. Here comes Jason Kidd.
Run with him. Stuart Scott was mentioning that Richard Jefferson called for a foul, pushing Manu Ginobili out of the way. Mental mistakes by the New Jersey Nets.
So another guy with 2 fouls in Richard Jefferson. There you see the 2 at the top of your screen.
That's just 2 guys tangled up.
Yeah. I mean, with what they've been letting go down underneath the bucket, I have a hard time believing that's a foul.
Nets leading 40-39. Tim Duncan trying to back in on Kenyon Martin. Rose came up with the offensive rebound somehow. Jason Collins is wondering how.
We keep talking about the things that the Nets have done wrong, and Jason Kidd missing his last 8 shot, and they're ahead.
Parker gives up a shot. Ginobili won't. For 3. Got it! And the Spurs climb back in front by 2 with 1:35 in the half.
Kenyon Martin has to be very careful not to pick up a foul in the last couple of minutes.
Collins almost got one of his own as he runs over Ginobili, but Ginobili picks up his second.
Well, this guy's been shooting lights out from beyond the arc during the playoffs. 43, 44%. And then on the defensive end, he sees it. He just can't quite get there in time.
Collins' first point right there. Collins can tie it up for us again for the 6th time here in the first half.
Jason Collins has just not had the impact in this game that he had in the earlier series in the Eastern Conference.
Boy, he had some great rebounding games against Detroit.
One game, 9 offensive rebounds. Did a great job on the boards in that series.
He just doesn't look sharp. The layoff obviously hurt, and the wrist continues to be a major factor.
1:15 remaining in the half. 9 on the shot clock.
Richard Jefferson, what a steal.
Here's the steal. Kidd to Jefferson on the run, but they missed the layup. Minute remaining in the first half of Game 1 of the NBA Championship Finals.
Play the clock if you're the Spurs. Go 2 for 1.
Rose has had a hot streak in the first quarter, missed that jumper, and Kidd with a rebound, and when he gets a rebound, he's even more dangerous.
They can go 2 for 1 themselves right here.
He'll try 3. Short. So 0 for 9 since hitting the first 2 for Jason Kidd.
You know, something the Spurs need to look at is when Kenyon Martin's fronting Tim Duncan in the low post, swing it up high real quick, and then you can dump it down to your big man instead of trying to force it from the wing.
Kenyon Martin is so much more active, though, as Byron Scott wisely takes Kmart out to keep him from picking up that foul, brings in Rodney Rogers. But Kenyon Martin is so active. He really plays like a guard. So many of the big guys out in the Western Conference, they just sort of lumber along, and Duncan clearly takes advantage of that.
Here's Duncan off the glass. That would have been something else. Just a little too strong. Jefferson got the rebound. Kidd slows it down. Looks to Byron Scott, who calls the play from the net sideline.
The defense by the guards for Popovich has been tremendous in the first half.
No fouls to give by either team. Rodney Rogers on the baseline. Would have been a very tough shot. Collins trying to follow, can't get it. Final chance for the Spurs. Bowen trying to go through traffic. Offensive foul and no basket. And Bowen picks up his 3rd foul.
And they're going to talk about how much time is going to be still on the clock
when that foul was called on Bowen. 0.4 is what they're going to put back on the clock. Spurs turned it over 10 times in that first half, but as Sean said, or Doc said rather, really not taken advantage of by the Nets.
New Jersey should be ecstatic. They have not played that well, with the exception of Kenyon Martin, but they're tied.
There's the inbound play. No time to get a shot away. And at halftime, Game 1. We're all dead even at 42. The Nets had a 3-point lead at the end of the first quarter. And now it's 42 apiece as we head to Stuart Scott.
Thanks a lot, Jason Kidd. You had 4 points your first 42 seconds. None since 0 for 9 since then. Are you pressing a little bit?
No, it's just shots look good. They're not falling, but my teammates keep telling me to take the good look, and sooner or later, hopefully they'll go in.
Even with 4 points, and you guys shooting like 37%, you're still tied. Why?
Well, we making them take a tough shot, and just letting them get one shot. Because if they get 2 or 3, then we're in the hole. So, anytime you're on the road, you want to keep it close and hope you can win it at the end.
All right, go get off your feet. Good luck in the second half, Jake. Appreciate it. Brad, let's go back to you.
Leading scorer in the ball game, Kenyon Martin with 10. Verizon Wireless halftime report is coming up. Performance by Lisa Marie Presley. Ahmad Rashad with a special feature. Mike Tirico, Sean Elliott, and Doc Rivers will be along. Right now, we'll take a quick break. Game 1 of the NBA Finals is all tied up at halftime.
This is the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report.
San Antonio had 5 steals in the first half. This one by Malik Rose. The Nets had 5 steals. Each team had 26 rebounds. Each team had 42 points, as even the first half as you could have. In Game 1 of the 2003 NBA Finals, we welcome you to the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report. I'll be joined by Sean Elliott, Orlando coach Doc Rivers, and Ahmad Rashad with a Jason Kidd feature momentarily. But first, the entertainment in the building. The Kid of the King will perform. And let's go to the public address announcer here at the SBC Center for the introduction. Here's
San
Stan
Antonio fans, get on your feet. Here to perform her new hit single, Sinking In. Please welcome Capitol Records recording artist, Lisa Marie Presley.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Speak slow, speak me fast, I can roast, I can gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you
Melissa Marie Presley. Her new album just went gold, by the way. On with the countdown, Ahmad Rashad joins us for a feature on Jason Kidd as we continue from the River City. Halftime of Game 1, all square at 42, Spurs and Nets.
This halftime report is presented by Verizon Wireless. We never stop working for you.
Can you hear me now? Good.
Thanks, John. We'll be there in a few days. Tony Parker struggled in that half. 1 of 6 from the field, but he did hit David Robinson there. We're all tied 42. Halftime, Game 1 of the 2003 NBA Finals. Well, Jason Kidd missed his last 9 field goals, hit his first 2, but Ahmad Rashad, Jason Kidd is a streaky shooter, as we've seen. Let's go back a little bit and refresh everyone why Jason's become so special.
All right, it was back on the playgrounds of Oakland that people first heard of the young phenom named Jason Kidd. And now fans all over the world are getting a chance to see Jason's talents as he gets set to play in his 2nd straight NBA Finals. Now, he was already a star during his years in Dallas and Phoenix, but since coming to New Jersey, Jason has taken his career and the Nets franchise to new heights.
He makes everyone better, and everyone keeps saying that, but it's the truth. As soon as he steps on the floor, everybody games get, brought up another notch. They shoot better, they pass better, they finish better. We just look better as a team.
It's a great feeling as a coach to see that you don't have to jump on guys about playing hard. You don't have to jump on guys about being selfish, because your leader is a prime example of a guy that will do anything to win.
I remember when I was 11 years old growing up in California and watching him play high school basketball. And I've known ever since then that he was just a great point guard. Now to be a teammate of his, you can't ask for anything better.
Across the Bay Bridge is Oakland, California. This is where the legend of Jason Kidd began. And this is where no one ever doubted his greatness.
You could hear stories about Jason. He was in the 4th grade playing with 6th graders. He was in the 6th grade playing with 8th graders.
Jason would come onto the court, and everybody would watch him. And if he had the ball, it was like the crowd was on the edge of its seat. It was amazing to watch.
Kidd looking for more. Another lob.
I grew up watching Magic Johnson, who made every single player around him better. Jason Kidd is the exact same thing as him.
Well, vision is the whole game. To be able to see your teammates and your opponent, and to kind of have the forecast of what's going to take place or what's going to happen next is what makes the game exciting for me.
Does he come up with some selections?
People, talk about you always are going so fast, but it's not really that I'm going fast. I'm just trying to use my strengths, but everything is in a slow motion type atmosphere.
He's been everything, to our team. He stepped on the floor day 1 and was running up and down, diving for loose balls. It was something that had never happened here in practice, and he set the tone from day 1, and it's been, carried out ever since.
No matter how much money or how much games you've won during the season, I want to be able to say at the end of my career that I won a championship.
The finals pit Jason against Spurs point guard Tony Parker, a matchup that's intriguing enough, but there's also a subplot. Kidd is a free agent after the season, and there have been a lot of rumors about him signing with the Spurs, possibly to take Tony's place. Now, Jason hasn't made any definitive statements either way, but it's hard to see him leaving the Nets, especially surrounded with 2 young stars like Kenyon Martin and Richard Jefferson. With those guys together, they should be in a championship mix for years to come.
And Ahmad, I think Jason Kidd's built a great relationship with those guys over the last couple of years. That will contribute to it. Winning a title would make it very different. See you in the finals, bud.
Right.
Thank you. We are rejoined by Sean Elliott and Doc Rivers. Your impressions of the first half. Why don't we start with the Nets, Coach?
Well, again, the turnovers. The Spurs turned the ball over 10 times, and Nets only have 4 points. The Spurs have 7 points off turnovers. I would have never thought that before the game.
And I like the fact that the Spurs are dominating in the paint area. They're getting penetration virtually at will. You have Manu, Ginobili, Steven Jackson, Malik Rose. Those guys are creating havoc. And another thing, 5 days off for David Robinson has benefited him tremendously. 9.6 rebounds, a block shot in that first half.
And that 9 points, the most we've seen from David Robinson since 12 games ago when they won game one lost game one, excuse me, to the LA Lakers in the conference semifinal. We thank you for watching from wherever you've watched the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report. All square at 42. Send you back to Brad, Bill, Tom, Stu, and Michelle for the second half right after this.
There's a yellow rose in Texas, I'm going there to see. No other fella knows her, nobody, only me. Please give a warm New Jersey welcome to your Golden State Games 2003.
San Antonio Spurs.
New Jersey Nets.
Tim Duncan. David Robinson.
Jason Kidd.
Kenyon Martin.
Steven Jackson. Kerry
Kittles. Rodney Rogers.
My career won't be complete until I win a championship.
I just want to win. That's it. Period.
The NBA Finals.
I don't know about the convertible in there, but both teams could use a pickup right now, I think. It's 42-42 at halftime. Welcome back to San Antonio, everybody. Brad Nessler, Bill Walton, Tom Tolbert. Fellas, the two superstars we talked about in the open, they're not playing like it right now.
But the game plan for San Antonio is very simple. You have a bigger, stronger, more versatile front line, professional, workmanlike performance. Just pound it inside, set the tone, and ask the New Jersey Nets what they're going to do about it.
Jason Kidd started off 2 for 2, ended up 2 for 11. You got to figure some of those shots are going to drop. That being said, he's still on his way to a possible triple-double. Already with 6 rebounds and 4 assists, so he contributes much more than the box score would even tell you, especially the field goals made and field goals attempted.
Here we go, starting the third quarter. 6 ties, including the one we have right now so far in the ball game. Bruce Bowen, quiet in the first half with no points. A great three-point shooter, and he knocks down the 3 for his first basket.
An outstanding article in yesterday's New York Times by Mike Wise on the personal story of Bruce Bowen. If you haven't seen it, you've got to check this out. What a remarkable saga Bruce Bowen's life has been.
Another basketball vagabond. Kenyon Martin with a miss. Tim Duncan with a rebound. Jackson, another guy that's traveled around considerably.
Again, they go to the hoop, but with Bruce Bowen setting the stage with a perimeter jumper. Here's a guy
that's been with 4 NBA teams. Miami twice, the Celtics, the 76ers. He's had to go to France, Fort Wayne, and Rockford of the CBA. I think he's earned his way here, hasn't he?
Growing up, Bruce Bowen in Fresno, California. A horrendous family situation, estranged literally from every member of his biological family. Had to beg and plead, literally buy his way to get a college scholarship at Cal State Fullerton. And now he's starting in the NBA Finals for the favored team.
Kenyon Martin just picked up his 3rd foul. So just like that, Collins and Martin out of the blocks in less than a minute. Each have 3.
San Antonio is determined to grind this out. They're not interested in making it into a pretty show.
At the free throw line, 5 of 11 for the Spurs. That's horrible, as Bill would say. But Duncan rips it, and he's hit 3 of his last 4. 9 for Tim in the ball game. There's what we were talking about. 2 big guys. Jason Collins, Kenyon Martin, each with 3 fouls here within the first 51 seconds of the third quarter. And Tim Duncan knocked them both down, so he's in double figures. And the lead for the Spurs swells to the biggest it's been tonight.
Well, to go along with the maturation process we're talking about from Kenyon Martin, Byron Scott said he's not afraid to leave him in there with 3 and 4 fouls anymore. He knows Kenyon knows how to play and not to get 4 and the 5 fouls.
The Nets now, going back to the end of the first half, have missed their last 6 shots. 7 now.
Well, the Spurs are doing a much better job of probing the paint area. They're getting into the paint, either kicking out or scoring at the rim. New Jersey settling for jump shots.
Let's see if Scott said his biggest concern was the size of the Spurs. New Jersey's in trouble. They need a timeout desperately.
The Spurs digging into the sides of the nets. They're up 7.
And you can't fast break out of the net. Their set offense has been non-existent. Lack of perimeter shooting.
Kenyon Martin has to watch out even offensively, but a sweet move around Duncan. 12 for Martin.
And you know how quick he is? When they're playing him, they're giving him the jump shot. They're laying off of him, and he's still able to explode and go around him and finish.
I like the way he keeps changing his defense. Front one time, play behind, keeping Duncan off balance constantly.
Out of bounds to the Spurs as Duncan spun around the Kenyon Martin with those 3 fouls, but had it stripped underneath the basket.
Well, he let Tim Duncan feel him. And when Tim Duncan thought he had a spin, he backed off of him, and you just lose your balance.
Jackson off the inbound. And a whistle and a foul on Kerry Kittles.
All the loose balls, all the breaks going San Antonio's way. Somebody other than Kenyon Martin has to come alive. Kenyon Martin is doing his job. He's neutralizing Tim Duncan.
Martin gets set defensively. And Duncan gives it up. Parker will try a 3. Got it!
And now Byron Scott takes the timeout.
Everybody up in San Antonio. When Duncan's not scoring, his teammates are, including Tony Parker. 5 points here in the 3rd quarter for Parker, including that last 3. A 10-2 run by the Spurs, and they've got their biggest lead of the night. At home, they're up 8.
The NBA Finals on ABC, brought to you by McDonald's. The all-new Accord from Honda. It's more Accord than ever. The Kyocera smartphone. This is one smartphone. And Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light. Cold down easy.
Tony Parker in only his 2nd year, the 4th youngest player ever to play in the NBA Finals. And Tim Duncan on the feed to Parker, who knocked down the 3. 8 points for Tony Parker. Tim Duncan talked about the fact Tony was a teeny bopper the last time the Spurs were in the NBA Finals.
I think he's great. I think he's ready to go. I think he's excited about it. We were talking about it today. When we were in the finals, he was back in France up at 3 a.m. watching the games, and now he's here, and he's excited to be here, and he's ready to roll.
He's been a sensation in this his 2nd year. And of course, so much has been made, so much pressure put on him. A month from now, Jason Kidd's a free agent. Does Jason Kidd come to the Spurs? Does Tony Parker end up having to leave? All that he's had to listen to, guys. And in the last couple minutes, he's knocked down a couple of big buckets.
But Tony Parker is one of the most optimistic guys you'll ever come across. He's just a happy person, enjoying playing basketball. He's not going to let all this other nonsense get in his way. Nice passing.
Kidd to Martin. Kenyon Martin inside. 14 for Kenyon.
All these great shots that the Spurs are getting, that's a result for Parker and Bowen because of the punishing front line that Greg Popovich is utilizing magnificently.
A 10-4 start for San Antonio to open up this lead in the opening minutes of the 3rd quarter.
Nice pass by Duncan.
David Robinson was so good in the first half, and he picks up where he left off. 11 for the old Admiral.
Well, I think he'd like one more stripe on the jacket before he hangs up the hat.
Good point. Jefferson outside, and he knocks it down just inside the 3-point line.
David Robinson is trying to join a very few and select group of people who have finish their NBA career as a world champion. Bill Russell heading that group is Sam Jones.
He would be the only non-Celtic ever to do so. Parker continues to shine. 10 for Tony.
Shouldn't surprise us the poise he plays with. He displayed that poise last year. And one thing this year that amazed me, in the regular season, Tony Parker had better numbers on the road than at home. And usually you only find that in veterans. This guy is poised well beyond his years.
Jefferson will try it again. This one's too strong, and Duncan just one-hands the rebound.
New Jersey is playing and looking at the referees, waiting.
Big fella.
We'll see what happens when you hit a couple shots. They respect you, they double team you, and leave the MVP wide open.
And it becomes infectious now for the Spurs. They're up double digits. Kittles. Jackson took his arm off.
It is so loud in here, you cannot hear the whistle. David Robinson, so strong. Not really a back-to-the-basket player, even in the greatest days of his career. Tim Duncan, though, who played against David Robinson when Tim Duncan was in college at Wake Forest, and David Robinson was representing the U.S. national team in the '96 Olympics. David Robinson told us that he knew right away that Tim Duncan had stardom written all over him, even as an underclassman at Wake Forest.
Kerry Kittles got the roll on the second free throw. 8 for Kittles. 58-50. There's your leading scorers.
Balance. The team game.
And the Spurs have scored on all 7 trips this quarter. Parker will try to make it 8. Nope, that went in and out.
And all 5 Spurs back. Since the first quarter, when the Nets had 7 fast break points, they've been able to do a good job of getting back. And as Bill said earlier on, when you're making shots, hard to run out of the net. Nice.
Kenyon Martin with a nice outside jumper.
The amazing stories developing in this series is how well Tony Parker has defended Jason Kidd and how extremely successful Kenyon Martin has been in the face of Tim Duncan at both ends of the floor.
Jackson for 3. Collins a rebound. And now here comes Kidd and Kittles together. Kidd by himself.
And to be able to catch the ball on the dead run, cross your man over, and get to the rim.
Wow. First field goal for Kidd since 11-18 remained in the first quarter.
But as fast as Jason Kidd is, the separation that we saw in the Eastern Conference playoffs has not been there in his head-to-head confrontation with Tony Parker.
Remember what they say about Kidd. He can't shoot, but he comes up with big shots. He got another big one there. 6:08 remaining, third quarter. Spurs had stretched out their lead to 10. It's been cut back to 4. There's the presidents of the Toby Keith fan club, the Dixie Chicks. George Strait looking on without a cowboy hat. And here's some sweet music by Kenyon Martin, guys. Maybe not country western.
Kenyon Martin has followed his game plan perfectly tonight, giving Tim Duncan all kinds of fits with constantly changing defenses and then attacking him, turning and facing, realizing that Duncan is so much bigger. Kenyon Martin really the only guy who has brought it for Byron Scott with 16 big points and 8 rebounds. And he's saddled with foul trouble. Imagine what if he hadn't picked up those 2 silly fouls early, how much a factor he would be.
Well, a lot of guys are active, a lot of guys are strong. Very few are active and strong. Kenyon Martin's one of those guys.
And of course, he's given away about 3 inches and about 30 pounds to the guys guarding. And here's the same matchup. Spurs move it outside, though. Ginobili misses the 3, and it's Kenyon Martin who shags down the rebound.
Jason Kidd has got to get going.
Martin slicing through and fouled by David Robinson.
When Kidd gets that ball down into the 10-foot area, nothing has ever come from that tonight for New Jersey. And that has to be a nightmare for their chances to win this entire series. He has to get that ball into the paint and punish Parker so badly that Popovich has to come with either Bowen or Ginobili to put some size on him, and that has just not come true tonight for Jason Kidd.
Martin misses the free throw.
Well, until he starts punishing somebody down there, if I'm San Antonio, I'm not double teaming. I'm going to make him score down there a couple times before I double team, because I would be worried about what just happened. You double team Jason Kidd down there, someone's getting an open look.
Martin got one of two.
I think, like Tim Duncan, you make Jason Kidd feature with his scoring as opposed to his passing.
7 straight points now in the last minute and a half by the Nets to close that 10-point gap down to where we are, a 3-point lead. Duncan over Kenyon Martin. So that's a tough shot.
So complete, so perfect. I mean, 7 feet tall, facing up, dribbling away from the basket, nothing but net from 18 and fading.
Again, Jason Kidd posts up and this time cuts to the lane. Blocked by David Robinson. His second block shot of the night. Bowen for 3. Got it! He shoots threes better than anybody in the league this year, and he's knocked 2 down this quarter.
Tom, are you old enough to remember when Bruce Bowen couldn't make a single shot, much less lead the NBA in three-point shooting?
Oh, it's incredible, the work ethic from this guy. And you're going to watch right here, Jason Kidd going. Great defensive help by David Robinson. And then just spotting up right there. And he's been money from the baseline, both right and left. It's still, it amazes me. Bruce Bowen there going to the bench with his 4th foul. How a guy can shoot better from the three-point line than he can from the free throw line. I can't understand that, but give him credit for what he's been able to accomplish.
That's all mental. Unfortunately, he just picked up his 4th foul. Vote for who you think is the NBA Finals MVP, brought to you exclusively by Verizon Wireless.
A year from now, Bruce Bowen will be an outstanding free throw shooter.
Are you going to go to work with him?
That would be the worst thing that would ever happen.
Duncan with Martin on his hip. Duncan, another tough shot. 8 this quarter, 16 for the game. He's got 16. Martin's got 17.
They wear you down. And now Tony Parker's denying Jason Kidd possession of the ball. So Kerry Kittles, not a noted ball handler, forced to bring it out.
Here's a screen set by Collins. Kidd missed badly off the weak side. Ginobili just caught it off the glass. Spurs are shooting 69% from the field this quarter.
Parker's feeling it right now. Give me the ball in my hands. Let me break somebody down and do something with it.
And he does something with it.
This is a clinic, and Byron Scott has seen enough.
Tony Parker. He might be young, but he's growing up in a hurry. 9 in the quarter. 12 for the game. The big guy, Tim Duncan. How tough has he been this quarter? And then his pint-sized counterpart on the outside. Spinning inside. It's an 11-point Spurs lead. The lead, the biggest by either team tonight, is 11. 67-56. Our Miller Lite storyline. We were tied at 42 at halftime, but San Antonio's Tim Duncan and Tony Parker have come alive, especially this quarter. Duncan a 16-12 double-double already. Parker has 9 points this quarter. It's 67-56 Spurs as we check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Brad, Greg Popovich told me one thing Tony Parker learned in these playoffs is not to stay, quote, sad or depressed when he's not playing well. He struggled early in the first round versus Phoenix, and he learned to participate in his own rescue, as Popovich put it. Once he learned how to do that and be there for his team, his play in the turnoffs turned around, Brad.
He's had a sensational third quarter after a scoreless second quarter. Duncan with a steal, and now it's the Spurs looking to push it a little bit.
The zone defense continues to be nothing but a nightmare for New Jersey.
We got to get out of the way here. Got a big man out little. Let him break him down.
And he's got foul trouble to boot.
Parker, this time it's in and out, but Rose keeps it alive. Fresh shot clock.
Get it back to Parker.
He's got it back, and again, it's Kenyon Martin on it. He'll take it over Martin. Richard Jefferson up high for the rebound.
I just like when you get the ball, if a little guy has a big guy guarding him, clear out, let him break him down, and if he can't create for himself, he'll get somebody else open.
Nets with their second field goal drought of over 3 minutes now in this third quarter. Kenyon Martin's jump hook's off the mark.
Jason Kidd is having to come back to the ball to get into any sort of transition game. That will never work for New Jersey.
He's on Ginobili. Ginobili goes by him, and Kerry Kittles gets in the way of the intended pass for Jackson. Rodney Rogers comes back in for the Nets, and Richard Jefferson will go out. In the third quarter, you can see the trouble that Jason Kidd has had, and Tony Parker has had his way.
Well, 3 for 15 for Jason Kidd. And Jason Kidd, much like their whole team, good in the open court, not so great as far as scoring and shooting in the half court.
Tim Duncan is fouled by Kenyon Martin, and that's 4.
You know, one of the great things about Tim Duncan is you can't play a tendency on him. A lot of other players, you can play a tendency. With him, he can go right shoulder, left shoulder, jump shot, jump hook, runner, it doesn't matter. He's got it all.
And he's got the free throw. Join us Friday night here in San Antonio. Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Live at 8 Eastern. We've got Jimmy Kimmel at halftime. And if you're not at home, you can listen to the game on ESPN Radio. Game 2 Friday night right here on ABC, your home for the NBA Finals.
Remember at the start of the game tonight, we had the honorary ceremony with Dr. J and George Gervin. Tim Duncan was born the day after that game was played, as the two legends look on and I'm amazed by how far this game has come because of the work that those guys put in. What a celebration.
That game was April 24th of '76. Tim Duncan was born in the Virgin Islands, as Bill said, the following day. And Rose goes down hard and picks up his third foul. Greg Popovich, P.J. Carlesimo looking on as we take another look at the foul.
I mean, that's a tough call to make. And I know it's a tough call, but, you know, go back to the Sternum rule. You square up somebody, you make them hit you in the middle of the chest. To me, that's a charge, but, I mean, that's the toughest one in basketball.
Byron Scott needs more out of his big guys. He's getting it from Kenyon Martin. This has not been Jason Collins' finest hour. Look for him to make vast improvements, hopefully by the fourth quarter of this game. The Nets are the best fourth quarter team in this year's playoffs. The Spurs, one of the worst, who have definitely a tendency to give up big leads.
There you see the field goal shooting this quarter has been all San Antonio. They stretch their lead to a dozen with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Game 1 of the NBA Finals in San Antonio. Tim Duncan continuing to put on a third quarter show. Brad Nessler with Bill Walton, Tom Tolbert, Michelle Tafoya, Stuart Scott, Mike Tirico, Doc Rivers, Sean Elliott, Jim Gray, and Ahmad Rashad. I hope I didn't miss anybody.
Nice dribble handoff, Jason Collins.
Rogers doesn't get it. Duncan cleans the glass again. Great pass. Jackson, look out! This is the largest deficit the Nets have faced in the playoffs. They're down 16. Rogers lays it off the glass.
You cannot play better basketball than Tim Duncan is doing right now. Everything. Intimidation, rebounds, outlets, scoring, leadership. What else is there?
Remember, we told you early in the quarter that dating back to the end of the second quarter, the Nets had a drought of over 4.5 minutes. That field goal by Rogers ended one of over 5. And before Duncan can get the jam, there's a foul. It's on Rodney Rogers, and he's got 3.
Tim Duncan forces the missed shot. And then the hardest thing for a big man is to turn and get the same rebound that he just forced. The over-the-top pass, right on the mark, the throwdown. That is the MVP, the best player in the land, Tim Duncan.
They out-netted the Nets right there. And I don't think it's hyperbole to say, I know he's got a lot of years ahead of him, but I think Tim Duncan, you could say right now, is one of the greatest players to play this game. And I'm talking about of all time.
Without question. The list of players who have won back-to-back MVPs is such a group of the top players ever. And Tim Duncan easily in that class already, and he's just getting started.
He has 13 points this quarter, 21 for the game. It's a 15-point Spurs lead, final 35 seconds, third quarter.
3 times in the 6 years of Tim Duncan's reign here in San Antonio, they've had the NBA's best record in the regular season.
They don't have enough offensive options right now with that guy on the bench. With Kenyon Martin sitting on the bench right now, it's, where do we go? Who's going to shoot it? Who's going to create? Jason Kidd can't make a bucket. You go to Rodney Rogers, Collins, Kittles.
Collins is not getting it done. I think you might want to come with Aaron Williams or even Dikembe Mutombo, who played well in a brief stint in the first half.
Lucious Harris missed a 3. Shot clock and game clock virtually even to end the third quarter. No fouls to give. And let's see what Claxton does. Try to get around Kidd. Leaves it for Rose on the baseline. He airmailed one to Kittles. Unless he can hit from there, it's the end of 3. It is. And what a third quarter for San Antonio. 18,797 filling the SBC Center. They're liking what they see right now from the San Antonio Spurs. A 16-4 run to close the quarter for San Antonio. They lead 74-59 on their home floor. This ABC Sports presentation of the NBA on ABC will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back in San Antonio, set to start the fourth quarter, 74-59. You want to talk about high definition. I think you can talk about Tim Duncan in the third quarter. He and Tony Parker are about as high definition as you could be, and that's about as much emotion as you'll see out of Tim Duncan. That was after an outlet pass that led to a slam dunk by Jackson. On the other side, you see the frustration on Jason Kidd's face. Those two emotions show the story of the third quarter. Remember, though, guys, Spurs have been here a whole bunch of times in the playoffs with a lead going into the fourth.
And let's not forget that Beethoven left an unfinished symphony when he died. But the fact that the Spurs were the best team at closing out opponents during the regular season, going 52-7 in games where they led at the start of the fourth quarter, they have been absolutely atrocious at giving it away here during the postseason.
Well, it's also given their due. In the 12 games they won, they had double-digit leads, won all those. So I know 2 things to look forward to in this quarter. It's Spurs turnovers and free throws. They had 0 turnovers, and you see the graphic there, 120-7 in the last 4 home playoff games. But with a young team, turnovers and free throws are things that can cost you leads. And if this thing ever gets down to 5 or 6, then you'll see if they tighten up or can re-extend. So we'll see. Like I said, 0 turnovers in the third quarter. We'll see if they can duplicate that in the fourth.
Now, we saw against the Pistons, the Nets come back from being down 8 and 11 in fourth quarters as Kidd misses the second shot and then comes up with a foul.
But to have a comeback, you have to have somebody playing well.
Yeah.
The way Dallas came back, Nick Van Exel would go crazy. Michael Finley, Dirk Nowitzki, little Stevie Nash. Who was playing well for New Jersey other than Kenyon Martin, who's on the bench with 4 fouls?
Duncan backing in on Aaron Williams, and I think the foul's going to come instead from the outside on Kerry. No, it is going to be on Williams. I beg your pardon. That's his third.
The versatility of Duncan, his decision-making, which separates him from every other low-post player in the game.
Well, the thing is, you cut through everything. And New Jersey only has a +4 in the fast break points. Yeah, they're going to have a hard time winning a game if they can't get at least a +10 in fast break points. If they can't fast break in the fourth quarter, they can't come back.
Claxton the miss. Duncan had a hand on it. Rose got it back.
Look at Aaron Williams battle.
And he got the rebound to Kerry Kittles.
Aaron Williams was critical in the Game 1 comeback victory at Detroit. A couple of big blocks down the stretch for Aaron Williams.
Chance of defense. The SBC Center at a whistle. A little too much defense from Speedy Claxton, who picks up his second foul. Let's check in with Michelle again.
You guys were talking about giving up fourth quarter leads, and in that last timeout, the entire Spurs bench was up and in each other's faces. No letting up. Stay aggressive. We're not giving up the lead this time. Even some code words they came up with, which we have yet to decipher, to talk about not letting it happen again, Brad.
I know they'd have some words if they did give up another lead. I don't know if they'd be code or not. Williams not only did a nice job on the defensive end with a rebound, he got the basket on the other end for the Nets. Ginobili. Oh, boy. Duncan had a hand on it. Kidd came down with it.
Nice pass.
Harris pull-up jumper. Big shot by Lucious Harris.
Greg Popovich has said, enough. Let's talk this one over.
And he wants to stop the bleeding right here. Remember, the lead had swelled to as much as 16. It's back down to 10. Can the Spurs hold on to their fourth quarter lead? 10 minutes, 11 seconds remaining in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. The Nets doing what they do best. Finally got out to a little transition bucket, and they've cut the lead to 74-64.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the NBA.
We've tried to prove to people that we're a great ball club. Kenyon Martin, power forward, New Jersey Nets. They wrote us off again this year. They said Detroit was a better team, and you see what happened to those guys. They can say the West is going to win it, but you still have to play the game. The game is not played on paper.
Well, certainly Kmart has held up his end for the Nets, but much like the two regular season games, saddled with some foul troubles. He's still on the bench with a towel over his head. When does he come back in, guys?
I think he comes back in right now. He's only got 4 fouls. They're not going to win with him sitting over there.
Spurs now haven't had a field goal in over 3.5 minutes, while New Jersey had a couple of long stretches in the third quarter. Duncan can't get it. Jason Kidd can. Here's where he's at his best. He's got to pull it back, though.
Great transition defense. Popovich telling us that in the few days they had to prepare, that's all they really worked on, was matching up in transition.
Harris hit his last shot. Not that time. Ginobili with a rebound.
He wanted to go, but everybody's running away from the ball for New Jersey. People for the Spurs going to the ball.
Williams now trying to force Duncan away from the basket.
Popovich wisely brings Parker right back in.
Jackson with 4 on the shot clock. Duncan may have gotten away with a push for the offensive rebound, but he puts it right back in.
Give the MVP a little cushion there. I'll tell you something. I'm not a big fan. Michelle was before was talking about they weren't going to let this fourth quarter lead slip away. I'm not a big fan of bringing up negatives. You want to bring up positives, I think that's great. But why relive the past when it wasn't a positive experience? Just say, let's go out there and play the way we've been playing and keep it on a positive note.
Isn't that called addressing your weaknesses?
I don't like that. I don't like my guys. I don't like them thinking about it. I don't want them to think about that kind of stuff.
Here's some rose-colored glasses for you.
At least we knew where we could get some. Spurs' first turnover since the final seconds of the first half right there. They're up 12. Let's check in with Stuart Scott. Stu?
Brad, at the end of the third quarter, Byron Scott told his team, hey, guys, there's still 12 minutes left. All we need to do, if we're going to win this thing, is win it down there. He pointed toward the defensive end. The last time out, he said the same thing. He said, we're going to make our shots. I need somebody to get some rebounds, and we can still do this thing. Brad, back up to you.
Let's see who steps up. Jefferson will try. Nope.
Steven Jackson has done an outstanding defensive job on Richard Jefferson. Not giving him any good looks. Kept him under control in transition.
They're doing a good job of making them play to their weaknesses.
Tim Duncan, and he's Duncan. He's got 25. Kenyon Martin's got to get back in this ball game, doesn't he?
He's got to come with a different defensive strategy. Jason Collins hasn't got it done. Aaron Williams hasn't got it done. Kenyon Martin has. Dikembe Mutombo has, and they're both sitting on the bench.
Well, they got to get him back in the ball game. It does you no good to leave him on the bench. I don't think you go down 18, 19 points, it's already over.
Tim Duncan's starting to think that right now that it might be over. He's put on an unbelievable performance in this half. He has 25 points. He's getting a break. 17 in this half.
And I understand the rationale with Byron Scott, just hoping maybe we can get it to 7, 8 points. I can buy some time, and there you see the numbers from Tim Duncan. It's amazing.
Why wait too long?
No, well, that's the point. If you get down 20, then it's useless. You might as well never bring him back in. You got to bring him back in right now and see if you can make a push. And then if he fouls out, he fouls out. You got to trust him. You said you trusted him before now with his maturity. Here's the time to show it.
And now you come with the press with New Jersey, trying to get it into a scramble situation with Duncan out of the ball game.
Rose fouled by Williams.
And the first guy leading the cheers up off the bench with the aggressive play by Malik Rose is Tim Duncan. Is there a more perfect teammate in basketball than Tim Duncan?
It'd be hard to find. Rose at the free throw line. And he rips it. Tune in to NBA TV following each finals game for complete live post-game coverage, including press conferences, interviews, and analysis. The place to turn for around-the-clock coverage of the finals is NBA TV. Malik Rose, 10 for him.
The overwhelming dominance of the front line continues to be the major difference. New Jersey pushed underneath their own basket on one end, forced to the perimeter on their offensive end.
Jefferson blocked by Robinson, his third of the night.
Robinson just stood right there and let Richard Jefferson turn right into him.
Rose over Rogers.
Timeout. Please. Kenyon Martin. What are they thinking?
The Yellow Rose of Texas just made it a 16-point game again.
David Robinson, a former defensive player of the year in the NBA, the perfect team defense. And again, every Spur block remains inbound. They're able to turn it into transition points.
And Rose knocks down the jumper, and look at the eruption on the Spurs bench. They lead 82-66.
The NBA Finals on ABC, brought to you by Toyota. Get the feeling. And Hulk. This summer, experience the incredible.
Some of the signs have been in different colors around the Alamo City, but overwhelmingly, that's what they say. Go, Spurs, go. They have gone out to a 16-point lead with just under 7 minutes left in Game 1 of the NBA Finals.
Tim Duncan set the tone, but now it's David Robinson who, with 3 blocks, 6 boards, enthusiastic running of the floor, creating a tone, just sustaining what Tim Duncan put up there first. How are the Nets going to be able to come back?
Kenyon Martin's back in there, but is it too late? He immediately gets his 19th point of the ball game.
Well, they needed that 3-4 minutes ago. They had it down to 10 points, and like I said, I know what Coach Scott was doing, trying to buy himself a little bit of time. Nice block.
Blocked by Martin.
But you know, if you wait too long, you put yourself in a big hole that even if you do bring him back in, and Popovich countering with Duncan, then it's a tough situation to come back from.
In this second half, New Jersey's had field goal droughts of over 4.5 minutes, almost 5.5 minutes, and they just ended another one of 3:36 with Kenyon Martin's last basket.
You are not going to win the NBA championship by playing conservatively. Right off the bench, both big guns, Duncan and Kenyon Martin, coming in with beautiful plays.
Duncan's got 27. Kenyon Martin has 19. It's Duncan's team with a big lead with just over 6 to go.
When we look back at some point, Tim Duncan was only 2 for 3.
Yeah.
Now he has 27, 15, and 5.
And another just blocked another shot. But Collins rattles it off the glass.
I mean, just so consistent. Every game you look up and he's putting up monster numbers, whether it's first quarter, second quarter, or fourth quarter.
In every category.
Yeah, everything.
Blocks, assists, minutes, field goal percentage.
Right now he's got 27 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 blocks. Not a bad night's work. Ooh, tough shot. Lucious Harris.
But San Antonio's defense is just packed it in the paint, daring the Nets to shoot from the perimeter. Lucious Harris, one of the few guys who will take shots out there, and the big guys inside are denying Jason Kidd every penetrating angle and lane.
Here's Martin on Duncan. Duncan has to give it up with a double team. 4 on the shot clock. Jackson leaves it for Robinson, and he's fouled.
Well, that's the best of both worlds right there. If you can bleed 22 seconds off the clock and get to the free throw line, but if you're the Spurs, you can't become complacent right now and pull back. You still have to attack. Nice dribble penetration by Jackson, sucking the defense and just flipping it over to David Robinson. But don't get complacent, because that's when bad things start to happen.
That's been their biggest problem. They get a lead and they say, well, it's over. This is a team, San Antonio, that does not play well as the favorite or with a lead.
Their other biggest problem, free throws, and Robinson just missed that one. Got the second. 12 for David.
It's amazing about David Robinson, though, like John Stockton, who will be honored up at the Salt Palace on Saturday for his outstanding career. These guys look exactly the same as when they started their career.
Underneath, Jefferson had it partially blocked, but he's fouled.
And you look at David Robinson's body. I mean, it looks like somebody spray painted him. I mean, just the muscles.
This was Michelangelo here. This was Michelangelo sitting there with his eyes closed and say, what should a perfect man look like?
Well, you know what it was? And I'm all the stuff that he chipped off.
Jefferson. It's the first free throw tomorrow night. Don't miss Game 5 Stanley Cup Finals on ABC. After 2 thrilling overtime wins, and never say die Mighty Ducks have tied that series. Game 5 Stanley Cup Finals tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, right here on ABC Sports Championship Television. We've had the painting on the canvas. We've had Michelangelo. We've had Beethoven leading something on the piano. You guys are really kind of artsy-craftsy tonight, I gotta tell you. Under 5 minutes remaining. 85-74.
They've got to get something out of this press. They've been using it. It has not had any sort of impact on the game.
Tony Parker's had a great night. Cross-court pass, a tough one to Ginobili. And he lays it in.
No interior defensive presence for the Nets.
Kenyon Martin goes strong, had it blocked. Duncan 6th of the night. He dishes on the baseline to Jackson.
The NBA Finals record is 8 blocks. Duncan right there. And how many did Robinson have? 4 for David Robinson.
Oh, what a shot by Duncan.
Like I said, you can't play any single one move with Tim Duncan, and he uses them all.
We are witnessing something very special here.
Duncan's 8 of 9 from the floor in this second half. Not to mention his defense and setting up his teammates.
There's no way you can key on anything this guy does, because he always has the ability to go the other way. Beautiful defense. The tandem block that time. show him one way, come right back. That's a Larry Bird, Kevin McHale move right there.
Yeah, and unlike a lot of guys that when they don't get shots early and they're not getting touches, they press. He lets it all come to him. I mean, if it's possible to have 29, 16, 5, and 5 and make it look smooth and easy, he can do it. He doesn't force the issue. I mean, that's when you're truly great. When you let games come to you and you still put up those kinds of monster numbers.
MVP numbers. His team's 340 away from winning game 1 at home. 89-76 San Antonio. Duncan through the lane. That was a cross between a would-be finger roll and a slam dunk, and it was neither. Harris missed a three. Ginobili always looking to push it, and does. Jeez. Ouch, that's got to hurt the hand.
You know what has to be very disappointing for New Jersey? That Jason Kidd's defense, normally a real strong part of his game, has not had any impact on Tony Parker. Parker's gotten exactly what he's wanted.
Is this a layoff look of the Nets or not?
No.
First half, they played very well.
Yeah, this is not a layoff. This is the San Antonio Spurs doing a good job of keeping containment on their transition offense. Well, that's a shock. Another missed free throw by the Spurs. But, I mean, we could see this the whole series. I'll say it again. If the Nets can't get out and run and give you 20 fast break points a game and get it up and down a little bit, I don't know if they can score on the half court consistently enough.
The way they're going to score on the half court is Jason Kidd creating for others. That has not happened. And it's going to have perfect perimeter shooting by Richard Jefferson, Lucious, Harris, Kerry, Kittles, and Rodney Rogers. And that's not happening.
Harris got a three.
Harris and Rodney Rogers have done a job.
Yep.
But RJ and Kerry Kittles, they've got some work ahead of them.
Harris, 11 of his 12 points have come this quarter. We're under 3 minutes. Parker out to Ginobili. And turnover.
Great hands defensively by Lucious Harris.
2 minutes and 41 seconds. That's all we have remaining in game 1 of the NBA Championship Finals from San Antonio, with the Spurs on their home floor. Lead by 11.
Spurs by 11, 2:41 to go. Headline thought from Sean Elliott and Orlando coach Doc Rivers.
Tony Parker had a huge third quarter, took over that ball game, and the Nets are struggling in the half court to score.
And Tim Duncan took over the basketball game. I thought that was key. And again, the Nets are getting no easy buckets. Credit to Spurs transition defense.
Doc, thanks for being with us. Cleveland coach Paul Silas is going to join us on Friday. Our coverage game 2 of the finals begins at 8 Eastern here on ABC. Brad, if the Nets don't come back, 9 straight losses for the Eastern Conference team in the finals.
All right, Mike, thank you. Doc sounds like he was coaching up there in the booth. Getting a little raspy. He's probably yelling at Elliott.
Coaches are always coaching.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he's been yelling at his front line to please get 1 rebound.
The fast break points. First quarter, 7 quickly for the Nets, and only 7 since.
And a major factor is that San Antonio has only turned the ball over 2 times in the entire second half.
You don't turn it over and you make shots, it's hard to get out.
Kenyon Martin lays it in.
This guy's good.
And that being said, it's a 9-point game with 2:20 to go.
That's right. Martin has 21.
Now, you can't be afraid to attack against it. If they're going to press you, they can pay.
Nice. Duncan, a great leave for Robinson, and David just points at him.
And that is the way to do it. 2 minutes left, still too much time to get conservative. If they're going to press you and you beat the press, you take it to them and take advantage of them and score the bucket.
But Harris runs into Collins around the pick. And Duncan blocks another shot at Kenyon Martin's. Kenyon Martin screaming for a foul, so is Byron Scott. Neither one gets it. As you take a look at the Toyota game track with 1:44 remaining in the ball game. Jason Kidd has not had a good night, although he does have 10 assists. Tim Duncan has been sensational. 30 points, 17 rebounds, and David Robinson has turned back the clock tonight as he's got 14.
Between those two guys, Robinson and Duncan, 10 block shots. And they have 10 block shots. It hasn't been easy for New Jersey to score. When they have had a chance to get to the rim, the threes have been waiting for them.
Duncan has 6 of those blocks that Tom's talking about, along with a 30-point, 17-rebound night.
Grind it out if you're San Antonio. Richard Jefferson finally with a perimeter shot. Ginobili and Steven Jackson have not left him any good looks tonight.
Don't forget, coming up next, local news, Nightline and Jimmy Kimmel Live, except on the West Coast. We have less than 90 seconds remaining. 94-83. San Antonio, as we said twice already, to get to the finals, had lost a game 1 at home. It doesn't appear that that's going to happen against the Nets, but we're not done yet.
The versatility of Duncan and Robinson, which the Nets don't have that luxury of. Their front guys are specialists. The Jason Collins, the Aaron Williams, the Dikembe Mutombo. Kenyon Martin has developed into a complete and all-around player.
The foul was away from the ball in the final 90 seconds, so it's a free throw and possession. And Jackson will be the guy at the stripe.
So Tim Duncan and David Robinson are just goofing with each other here at half court.
There's the series, how it looks. We'll be right back here. 8 o'clock on Friday night on ABC Sports. Then we'll switch to the Meadowlands Sunday, Wednesday, Friday of next week if it goes that far. Right now, San Antonio looking to capture game 1 and hold home court. Jets it off the glass. Tough.
He's had his way, Steven Jackson. Early on, he was getting to the hoop. Now he's hitting turnaround jumpers. He's got his confidence going.
Kenyon Martin trying to tip in. Twice his own miss and can't. And then fouls Duncan over the back.
Oh, look at the bright spot. He got 3 offensive rebounds, 1 trip.
And Duncan got his 18th rebound and paid the price as he's still trying to clear the tears.
It's amazing the numbers that Duncan just puts up effortlessly.
Yeah.
Similar to George Iceman Gervin, who was so effortless in his filling up the stat sheet. That pursuit of the ball by Kenyon Martin. So admirable, but certainly not what Tim Duncan wants to have to deal with.
Kenyon Martin is gone with 21 points.
Well, he was the guy. I mean, he was the guy that kept him in this game. He was the one guy they could count on to get him some half-court points. I shouldn't say the one guy. Rodney Rogers did in the first half. Lucious Harris did a little bit in the second half. But when it sputtered, he became their go-to guy when their go-to guy was sitting on the bench. And give credit to Parker and Bowen. I thought they were the ones that opened it up in the third quarter with their aggressiveness by Parker and perimeter shooting by Bowen.
Duncan tacks out another free throw.
And where does New Jersey go from here? Other than the speculation about bringing Kenyon Martin back into the game sooner, you've got to get more, infinitely more out of Jason Kidd. Richard Jefferson, Kerry, Kittles have got to make vast strides in their ability to compete at this level.
As good as Kenyon Martin was and fouled out with 1:11 to go, the 2 superstars you talk about on the court are that guy who until now has really not been able to find a shot. But the other one, at one point, as Tom said, was 2 for 3 from the floor. And we said, what about Tim Duncan? Boy, did we get an answer in the second half.
Jason Kidd was badly outplayed by Tony Parker.
The Nets, remember, had 3 major second-half field goal droughts. And too much Tony Parker and too much Tim Duncan is going to be their undoing here in game 1.
He has got that runner down pat.
Duncan's got a 20-rebound game again. Wow.
Well, do they get back in game 2 of the Nets and have that confidence they had before this game? Or is it back to reality. We're playing the Western Conference. This is what happened last year. Is it going to be the same thing this year? I think not, but the thought's got to be creeping into their mind that, boy, we steamrolled the Eastern Conference. Now with the West, it's a different story.
With that, Bill, in mind of what Tom's talking about, what's Byron Scott's biggest job in the next day and a half? Is it physically or is it in the mental part?
It's all mental. Physically, they're more than capable of competing with the Spurs and winning this series. But if they don't come out with the mindset of, look, we got to outwork them and out-execute them, outlast them, outthink them, have Jason Kidd punish everybody. And you can't play even with a team like the Spurs. I mean, you got to come out with the mindset that we're going to hammer these guys. They did not do that today.
In the regular season, when they lost here, they shot 37% from the floor. They're going to be under that when this one's over.
Well, that third quarter was particularly disappointing for New Jersey. This came out absolutely flat as can be from the locker room.
And at that point, it became the Duncan Parker show, and it was pretty much all over. Jefferson ahead to Harris on the break, and it goes in, and a foul on Rose. So Jason Kidd can only look on now.
Well, you would expect Jason Kidd, I mean, just by virtue of playing the odds, that he's going to come back and shoot better than 4 for 17 from the field. Certainly not known as a marksman, but 4 for 17 is way under his average. This year, one of his better shooting years in his career, if not the best.
And that's after he hit the first 2 shots of the ball game.
But what if Tony Parker is really that good a defensive player?
Then they're in deep trouble.
We'll find out Friday.
We'll find out on Friday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Game 1 goes to San Antonio. 101-89 is the final. Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Tony Parker, all-stars. We'll be talking more about it when we come back.
Headlines tonight, Tim Duncan, 32 points, 20 rebounds. Jason Kidd, 2 of his last 15 field goal attempts, and the San Antonio Spurs win Game 1 of the NBA Finals. A reminder to stay tuned now. Except on the West Coast, it is your late local news, followed by Nightline with Ted Koppel and Jimmy Kimmel Live here on ABC. Well, Game 1 of the 2003 NBA Finals belongs to San Antonio for their huge third quarter as the Spurs find a way to get it done in the third after we were tied at 42. The Spurs exploding for a 60-point second half. And that has put San Antonio up 1. And the Eastern Conference, as Tom Tolbert was saying, has to start questioning itself. They are now 0 for their last 9 attempts in the NBA Finals. For Brad Nessler, Bill Walton, Tom Tolbert, Michelle Tafoya, Stu Scott, Doc Rivers, Sean Elliott, Jim Gray, and Ahmad Rashad, I'm Mike Tirico. So long from the 2003 NBA Finals.